for those who just joined. I'm talking with Alicia Faulk, artist, ceramicist, videographer, wanderer, storyteller, all that, in our latest Instachat.
A few people who are watching probably realize that the root of it all is something that I started with my husband, because we are planning on traveling the country as soon as it's kind of safe to do so. Right. So we are planning on selling our home and downsizing to live in an RV and travel, and basically allow my work to grow and change depending on the environment that we're in. And I'm really excited about that, because I think my work, and I myself as an artist, grow best whenever I have different situations that I find myself in. So this is a full-time project. We decided about a year ago to do this, and it's been really fun because we've been kind of getting our feet wet with videography for about a year now. I think we have 12 videos that we released on our YouTube channel, The Root of It All.
So you were doing a lot of the beginning videos when we were working on our show together.
Mm-hmm.
And you would pop in and film the process of the whole thing going on. And I was just so scatterbrained while we were working on it. And then I finally was able to follow and subscribe and start digging in. And I just loved how y'all were presenting a little slice of your lives, a little bit of the kind of magic of what you see in the world around you, but then how it all kind of ties in with a creative process and that kind of thing, which I think is great.
Thanks. It's been an adventure because I'm definitely new to videography. Yeah. But like I said, we've been researching this for about a year, and it's amazing. There's over 1 million people who travel full-time on the road. There's a bunch of YouTube families and couples and people who do this, and we just watch YouTubers. It's amazing to see where they go, and it's also a learning process because you can see the ones we like to follow show all their mistakes as well. Okay. So it's not like you're going to be thrown into something. We have no illusion about traveling the country. There will be bumps in the road. We're experiencing one right now where we can't actually get on the road yet. Yeah. But the one thing I love about most of the people that we follow, like Keep Your Daydream or Changing Lanes, mm-hmm. or Finding Your Someday, is that they tell you to be flexible. Yeah. And that's something as an artist, you kind of have that ingrained in you to be flexible and not have to have it one way or the other, and to realize that expectations change and you just kind of have to go with the flow.
Yeah. I think artists are very well suited to that adaptability that they have. So another part of your practice is your ceramic making as useful objects. So selling vases and coffee mugs, the robot coffee mugs, which was actually what was really funny is that I started thinking about working with you. I was like, yes, and we did this show called Close to Home, and then I'm like, wait a second, I had the robot mugs a year before that.
But yeah, the PACE show, which was my first job after college, I started with the PACE program, which is the Acadiana Center for the Arts. It's a great program where we went into schools and taught. But all these, they're teaching artists who are real. They're artists themselves. So I love that show. I don't know how you did that show. It was hurting how many artists you had to display.
It was, I think, 41, something like that. Some of them were I don't really show my work. And I'm like, it's lovely and amazing, and we're going to put it up. And
you should show it, absolutely.
But the reason why I was kind of pivoting towards your ceramics and the works you sell is that, mm-hmm. I think it's so great when we can support artists by being able to engage in art by giving gifts and purchasing useful things is just such a magical part of being in a creative community. And
I love making functional work. I mean, it's something that I won't ever really stop doing.
Yeah.
I think there's something really nice about being able to hold something that somebody has made or just like interact with it. And so functional work, while I love doing conceptual pieces, I mean, even in my last conceptual show close to home at the ACA, it was functional work.
I mean, and that's the thing is like, I have new appreciation for that lived in quality that you can get with different artworks. I love how you weave that into your body of work. Now, another thing too, when we were kind of talking about it on the about the root of it all and your work with ceramics, there's a tie to land, space, the earth, the connection of clay to ceramics and that tie between area, what kind of clay you're going to dig from the earth and fire in a kiln. Now, that is a part of the project, yes or no?
Absolutely. That's definitely a part of, you know, a year ago, when we decided that we were going to travel, I started thinking, oh my gosh, well, you know, most people have a studio, like I have a home studio, and that's going to be very different on the road because I'll be giving that up and in essence trading it. And that freaks a lot of people out. Frankly, it kind of excites me because there's a whole element to ceramics where, you know, clay is a part of the earth. And so wherever I go, it's going to be able to be found. And I haven't exclusively worked in native clays before. And that's something that's really exciting. A couple of years ago, I started working with a wood fire potter, Zach Sergey, in Fairhope, Alabama. And I was doing these firings, and he works exclusively in native clay, and his work is beautiful, and he does these really large scale things. And so I started thinking, well, how am I going to travel with that? They call RVs rolling earthquakes. And it's like, how are you going to travel with ceramics in a rolling earthquake? And it's so funny to me that it's taken me this long, but I actually started off at the university in Lafayette in metal and jewelry. And so, I mean, it took me like 10 years to realize that I can do porcelain and native clay jewelry.
It's smaller. I mean, that's...
Yeah, I mean, like, this is a...
Oh, yeah. Nice.
So these pieces, like, I fired in Fairhope, Alabama with Zach, and it was just an amazing experience because normally when you're doing a wood firing, you go to where the kiln is. And like I said, this is something I've been doing. He only fires it twice a year. So it's kind of a pilgrimage that I was doing. And I started thinking to myself, well, if I'm going to have to do this and I'm going to have to get my work out in trade shows, one of the biggest expenses as an artist is the travel. And what would happen if, like, I didn't have to incur that travel expense if the home came with me? I feel very much like a snail, like traveling with your house from place to place. But it really became, that actually could be a really beneficial to myself as an artist. That I was talking about an IT person. And then all of a sudden everything froze.
Yeah.
You're back. I know. I call him the tech.
Man.
He is.
He's a lovely man. You picked the right one. He is, because y'all are really a team, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very much. Yeah.
It's like, we kind of fill in the different balances. Like when we're working on our videos, I'm doing a lot of the storytelling and lining up of the video. and he's doing the technical side of the audio leveling and everything like that. So it's been interesting to work on the project together.
Everything has been affected and changed and jumbled around. In a sense, are firings outside?
They're being affected. I mean, I have a lot of friends who are in that community, and basically it's when you go to a wood firing, one of the things I love about it is it's a community aspect. I always wear my bandana, so it's like it's a normal thing for me to have this because of the heat coming off of the kiln. You just cover up, these parts, and it's just it's part of kind of my uniform as a ceramic artist. And so with everything that's going on right now, a lot of these firings are being affected. This only works so much. You have to be able to hand things over to each other and wear like communal like leather things to keep you safe.
Oh, so you're like trading.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, it's even a group effort to get the wood into the kiln. It depends on the size of the kiln, but that's something like when we do start traveling, I want to make connections with these communities, these kilns.
Yeah, that's why you're going in the first place. Yeah.
And right now it is affecting it. It's shutting some things down. People are doing firings, but they're doing limited number of people, just being able to share experiences, and it doesn't have to be that you don't want to experience it for yourself. It's just about like me watching YouTubers for a year doesn't mean I don't want to get out there myself and do it.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't dissuade me from going after the experiences, but I love that it also can bring people experiences that might not be able to get out there and do it themselves.
Yeah. For example, in your video you had my favorite video so far has been the Crew de Canaille and the Mardi Gras special you did. I feel like that was the best glimpse into what we feel as a community in Acadiana, and the reason why we're having such a hard time staying home and not socializing, because it was all there. And it was all there 2 weeks before we had the shutdown. And I mean, you can just see how people enjoy being with each other, and build things together. Yeah. So anyway, I was very happy to see y'all covering that.
Oh yeah, that was so nice to be able to do that before you couldn't. And on top of that, we've always loved doing photography. We had no idea that we were going to be doing video. And so I think back on all the things that I wish I had video for. And one of them is, the Mardi Gras runs, the careers. And, we couldn't do that this year. We actually picked up, we're trying to start fishing. So that's been something that we just started doing. Like Scott and I come from backgrounds where we went fishing with our grandfathers when we were younger, but it didn't really follow us into adulthood. And like the other day, we actually caught our first fish. It was a white perch, came back, filleted it. And I know it doesn't sound like, like this grand theme, but it meant so much to us because it was like, oh, we do remember how to do this. And I was young enough with my grandfather where he never, I was too young to fillet the fish.
Yeah, so, you're not getting a knife.
But I got it this time, and it was just like, it was such a good...
How hard was that process of filleting the fish and that kind of thing? Is it pretty straightforward or a little tricky?
It was actually pretty straightforward. I just looked it up to see like how the fish was like separated. And I think humorously enough, my experience as an artist made it easier to understand the materiality of what it felt like to fillet. So as a kid, I don't think it's like all of these experiences as, they all feed into each other.
And, and I think that's the way we have to look at it, especially now as we go from, because, when you start out as an artist, and I think you're going to agree, is you think you're just going to hole away in your studio.
Yeah.
And you're going to make your work. And there's going to be very little of that business aspect to it, of the marketing aspect to it. You have to learn how to pay the bills while making your work. And for me, it's more like, let's think about a good way to live a good creative life. And then the artwork is there. And as you're filleting a fish, you're making art in a way. It's not like that kind of Zen, whatever.
Everything's connected. It really is. And it's definitely been nice to kind of slow down in those aspects, because we were so focused on getting on the road. And now when the world says you can't really do that, you start to think of like, what can I do? Yeah. And you allow yourself to do things that you wouldn't maybe have normally done because it wasn't on like the top of your list.
Yeah.
Do. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the one good takeaway from this whole thing is that, people are slowing down, putting things in perspective, realigning and that kind of thing, and hopefully coming out healthier on the other side. Being home and being in this like it used to be. I mean, we don't run into each other. So we don't have those impromptu conversations. It's something, and it's not common to just the ACA, but almost, I would say 80% of the museums, institutions, nonprofits, all over the world, all had this sense in the back of their head, we need to have a stronger social media presence, and we need to have video content for our patrons and our members and stuff like that. And the people who are interested in what we're doing, but they never made time for it, Well,
you remember that list I was just telling you about? It's like, well, fishing was really low on the list because we just didn't have the time for it. I feel like now's the moment when the ACA was like, oh, it's coming to the top of the list. And I'm so glad it did, because not only of these interviews, but I know so many of my friends with kids have been tuning into the PACE online art lessons. I mean, I've been sending friends cross country who are going crazy with their kids at home, like, do these art projects with your kids. They're so well done.
Yeah, shout out to the PACE teachers and the just keep plugging away at and stuff. Actually, Alicia, while I'm thinking of it, what is the best way for people to follow you?
Honestly, the best way is to go to my website and just sign up for my newsletter. Keep it really simple. I won't send more than 3 a month. And it's something where they'll be able to keep up to date, like on what I'm doing, if I'm having a sale on my online store, different blogs that I've written, all of that stuff. So that's the best way.
All right. So that means we're going to transition into the questions. Now,
I'm ready.
Or how about not business tool, but business practice skill? I mean, it's wide open.
Honestly, I would just say go get a website, get it established, and just start telling people about it. Like you need to, like I just did, and you need to make it as simple as possible. So if you have everything centralized, you can just say, go here and make life really easy for other people, because life doesn't need to be more complicated than it already is.
And I have a website for my own artistic practice, and I'm terrible at it. It is an archive where you can go and visit and see what Jaik made 2 years ago.
That's important to archive. It's just also important to just have like a what's happening now. Like one of my favorite things that I've been doing on my website is I have a robot family album. So people have been sending me selfies with their robots. And like, it's so great because I call them my drinking buddies. And so there's no names attached to it, but it allows me to see my work in the world. So I like the interactive quality of the website.
Yeah. And also they do remind me of little Russian dolls, the nesting dolls.
That was the inspiration for their shape. They're really comfortable to hold.
Wow. 2 years ago. And now I'm just making the connection.
I know. It all started way back. There was a festival of fire in Lafayette called Pyromania, and we made a robot on site. And so they've followed me throughout grad school, and they're just such a wonderful part. I have piggy banks now and cookie jars, and I mean, they're just fun. And you got to have a little fun.
Yeah.
And so it allows me to get from conceptual to conceptual. It's just to do the little moments of fun in between.
I remember that was like with your name above anybody else's. Every time I was printing a brochure, a label, all that stuff, I had to go back and go fashion.
Well, actually, I had to reteach myself because it really should be pronounced Fasciane, which is easier to spell if you pronounce it like that.
Yeah.
But my family had Frenchicized it, and it's not really French. I'm Italian.
There you go. All right. Question number 2.
Okay.
All right. What would be the number one studio tool you would recommend to artists? What do you think?
I'm going to say just a camera. Like, you have to document, I mean, whether it's your camera phone or whether it's a legit high-end camera, you need to document and get your work out there. And a lot of my work, I always love, like, I will be doing this again. Not only will I be working in native clays as I get on the road, but I'll be documenting like installations, like photographing things on site.
Yeah.
And that's something that I will continue to move forward, because dream one day I'll get a national parks residency and I won't be able to dig up the clay and use it. I've got to figure out a way that they're going to want me to come in.
Yeah. All right. Question number 3. And you might have touched on this a little bit ago. What new skill, hobby, or habit have you picked up during our COVID times?
Fishing. That was, it was something that I knew I wanted to get back to, because I did a lot more crabbing with my grandfather than I did fishing. And as we travel, I really want to be able to get fishing licenses. I know. And I think if I ever catch a steelhead trout, I'm just going to cry.
I believe in you.
One day it will happen, and I will just, like, the world will know.
And what's great is, and you get it around here in Louisiana quite a bit, is when you take those side roads and you really go deep off the levee or something like that, and you stop at the tackle shop and you talk to the guy behind the counter. That is a rich experience that not many people get, and you wouldn't be there if you weren't fishing.
I'm looking forward to all those little hole in the wall experiences.
Oh yeah. Keep me posted, because I'll keep telling you about some Oregon places.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Name a profound experience that you had that was formative with a work of art.
I think there's this little piece that I made in grad school. I was always trying to kind of like, everybody always wanted me to commit to saying I was an environmentalist. And I do love like focusing on the environment and environmental issues. If anything, I've now like kind of said I'm more of a humanist. Like, if we don't take care of the environment's like Earth's going to do just fine without us. Like, we need to be invested in it so that we can stay around and it be a more mutually beneficial relationship. However, there was a piece that I did, and it reminded me of something. I actually got to meet Kara Walker. She visited Baton Rouge a while ago. And the question I asked her was, how did you know that you were on the right track with your work?
Right.
And I loved her answer. It was something that spoke to this piece that I made, which is she got a little like she was in her studio one night and she just had this kind of like deep chuckle inside of her. And it was because the piece was dark and it made her laugh and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And one day I was walking around campus near my studio, and in the course of 5 minutes, I'd picked up a snake skin. It was just a little bitty snake skin and a straw wrapper.
Mm.
And I put the two pieces together in a shadow box, and it was like a 5-10 minute piece, but I kept it and I called the piece Once Removed, because I always like it made me have that little dark chuckle inside.
Yeah.
And it was that kind of dichotomy of like us versus them. And then I don't know, there was just something about that piece. It's not ceramic, but it allowed me to have that moment that I remembered Kara Walker talking about.
Well, I read that into your work and just remind you to kind of loosen up and like, dig into
Don't get so set in your ways. I mean, that's something that allowing myself to work in different materials and constantly be flowing between video or a collage or clay, like it's something that keeps it fresh. I'll never give that up. Yeah.
Cool. Keep it up. Thank you. Question number 5. It is May 21st, 2021. So a year from today, what is Alicia Faulk doing?
Hopefully I'm pulling up to wood firing across the country, and I'm meeting amazing new people, and I'm putting work into the kiln that's made with native clays, and I'm sharing like all of this experience with people on our YouTube channel. And hopefully, you know, that's something that at that point, like, who knows what will happen, you know, RVing a year down the road.
Like you went from unprecedented pandemic times and unexpected surprises around every corner to jumping in an RV, which is going to be much more so.
Yeah. And you just have to be prepared. Like, you know, one thing that I think is really important and that I've learned during this is just to be kind to yourself and continue to try to do good work and realize that sometimes your own expectations, like I have this expectation a year from now that that's what I would like to see happen. But if it's not exactly that, I need to be okay with that. And I need to realize that, you know, it's not like, I think I said it on my website, actually, one of my last blogs, I said, it might be a while before we get on the road, but the journey has already begun.
Oh yeah.
It's like this all is a part of the journey. And people keep saying, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? I was like, it's already happening.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. Cool. Well, I think that's a great point to leave off on. Thank you so much, Alicia Faulk,
Thank you
for joining me for the latest Acadiana Center for the Arts Instachat. You can follow what Alicia's doing on her website, aliciafaulk.com. Also, you can follow her on her channel, YouTube channel, The Root of It All, RUTE. No?
It's ROUTE. So like think Route 66. You know, like you have to pick a high, like the Route 66 logo, and it's very similar. So it's just the words, the root of it all. But the root of it all is just the journey and how you map it out. Awesome. Sort of obsessed with maps, so.
Cool. All right.
Thank you, Jake.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alicia. I'll talk to you soon. And y'all keep following every Monday and Thursday.